in Senegal, Burkina Faso, Togo, Niger, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Liberia, and some part of Southern and Eastern Africa. A big thank you to all of you for choosing Pan-African Television this morning. Super excited. Also, a big thank you to our viewers from across the northern part of this country. I'm not saying northern region. I know we have 5 different northern regions, the northern part of this country. You have been very supportive of Pan-African Television from its inception till date, and we kind of say thank you to you for always spending your morning with us, with your views and thoughts and your criticism. That's what has shaped the TV station for us. I've been joined in the studios by the Honorable A.B.F. Husseini, Dr. Ramsey, and our very own Sabu Adam. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Good morning. And thank you very kindly for your time.
Good morning, Colonel.
Honorable, it appears you are not excited this morning because of my complaints, but I needed to air them to you. It is important.
It's always good to have the opportunity to get a feedback, and I can assure you that I will relay your concerns to those who handle our media and publicity. Yeah. I think it's very important. Pan-Africa has been very, very generous. In fact, you have been open to all political parties, let me say so. But more importantly, you have been ready at any point in time, not just during the course of the campaign, but at any time, to open your doors to hear what we have to tell the good people of this country. So I believe that those concerns are legitimate, and I will channel them appropriately to our colleagues who handle media and deal with those particular issues. I think that one of the good things about a politician who wants to have longevity is to listen. It's not to cocoon yourself into the belief that you are infallible, you are omnipotent, and you are deaf and dumb to hear anything from what people are saying. I'm sure the best person is the one who listens to your flaws, even when you admit that as a human being you are not perfect, you are fallible, and then you open yourself up to listen and take corrective measures. You'll be better off. Yeah. So we are not going to behave like the NPP. When people complain to you about certain things, that you didn't take the opportunity to bash them. Listen to them. There are some good things that maybe you have omitted to do, which when you do, you'll be better. And so I would say without any iota of hesitation that these are very well-founded complaints, and they'll be channeled. The NDC is a listening party.
Thank you.
And I think
very
that
much.
you listen and do what
Let
is
me
appropriate.
remind viewers respectfully that we are streaming live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So for the very many viewers we have in this country, you may want to share your views with us here, and I will be more than excited to read your comments on the show. Straight away, let's look at the topics. Mahama begins security overhaul with IGP Dampare's removal. 2025 budget lacks credibility, says minority. And let me express my bias in respect of the first topic, because I took to Facebook yesterday and aired my reservations about the appointment that was revoked and that which was made by His Excellency, albeit that he has the constitutional support to be able to appoint and disappoint. But I took to Facebook. Of course, I've had a lot of engagement in respect of my post, but it was without malice. It was just an expression of frustration by reason of how we are conducting ourselves in this journey of democracy. So I stated, so I want to give you full disclosure, and therefore you know my position already. My position is my position. It does not in any way, or it must not in any way affect the discussions that will be had here. But my position is what I want to read to you. That President John Dramani Mahama has made a bold move by appointing COP Christian Yohonu as the new Inspector General of Police, replacing Dr. George Akufu-Dampare. While I respect the President's constitutional authority to make such decisions, I can't help but voice my reservations about his choice. Yohonu, a seasoned police officer with over 3 decades of service, steps into this critical role at a time when Ghana needs strong, transparent, and unwavering leadership in its security sector. Yet, I find myself with little confidence in him due to the baggage he carries of whispers of the past, controversies, and questions about his ability to truly reset the police service as Mahama has promised. Dr. Dampare, for all his imperfections, brought a sense of discipline and public engagement to the force, and I worry this change might undo the progress. I hope Yohonu proves me wrong and rises above my doubts to lead with integrity and effectiveness. But for now, I'm watching with a cautious eye. Then I pose the question, what are your thoughts on this appointment? Honorable Ebi Fuseni, you are also well aware that some civil society organizations, Professor Ning and Imani Africa, have taken the president, or rather the appointing authority, to the Supreme Court for an interpretation as to whether or not the president can so remove or dismiss the IGP and appoint a new IGP. The argument is that, yes, the president can appoint, but can the president remove in consultation with the Council of State? This is an ambiguity in the Constitution which ought to be dealt with. And what calls usually for interpretation of our Constitution is the ambiguity and the lack of understanding of certain or specific provisions in the Constitution which will call for any citizen of this country, pursuant to Article 1221 and 1301 of the Constitution, to invoke the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in respect of interpreting certain provisions of the Constitution. They cite, I think, Article 109, Article 191, and make the point whether or not the Inspector General's position is a public office position, and therefore subject to the removal and appointment by the president. With the greatest of respect, I know that you have a country to reset, but given the controversies surrounding the removal of IGP Akufu-Dampare and the appointment of Yohonu, you may want to have an open, frank, honest, brutally forward conversation or discussion or analysis on the appointment and what your thoughts are. Whether or not the president has erred this time around in his appointment, or whether or not the president has made an important stride in resetting the Ghana Police Service. Honorable Ebi Fuseni, without much ado, I present to you this honorable floor. You may speak. I can be a good MP. Proceed.
I think that you accelerate your contacts on the ground, and I'm sure it will come as a matter of course. The Hippo once told the offspring that you just pray for longevity. As for the size, you increase. It come as a matter of course. My regards to my brother Ramsey and Ramadan Karim. Same to my brother Sabo. I'm sure maybe after a year or two, he will trace his steps back to the end. You come to the NDC.
It's a matter of course.
Oh yes, in fact, he has sacrificed a lot, and he himself is the first to see that what his people have done to him is unbefitting of the sacrifices he has made. And he's a nice person. Like his natural home is the NDC. He doesn't really belong to the NPP. He just forced himself there. He should come out and come back to his natural home. The Gombers have been saying that the day the Billy Goat's leg is broken, it will trace its way back home. Sure, Sabo, we will welcome you. In fact, not with a handshake, with an embrace, for where you rightly belong. My regards to the Bleachina people of the Sanaro constituency and His Excellency President
time.
Yes,
I need to visit. Yeah.
After the Ramadan, we'll go. I'll take you.
Yes, I would love to.
And we'll go. And then also to the dedicated viewers of Pan Africa TV, who make this station fly high, not just in Ghana, across Africa. The other time we were here, somebody even sent a message from Malawi. I was watching Pan Africa TV from Malawi in Southern Africa, Southern Central Africa. So, yeah. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what is described as a legal lacuna or a controversy. Presidents, since the advent of the Fourth Republic, have always appointed and disappointed IGPs. From President Rawlings, through President Kufuor, to President Mills, to President Mahama, and to President Akufo-Addo. Kwame, you are a lawyer, I am not, and I'm not in a hurry to advertise my legal ignorance. But I do know that the law is looked on the face of its value as well as precedents and practices alike. And like I've pointed out, there's a general presumption of the decision that he who appoints has also the authority to disappoint. So if that general maxim is accepted for CEOs, for other categories of public servants, what is different in the case of the IGP and other service commanders? Kwame, you are not just talking about the IGP alone. You are talking about other service commanders, both in the police hierarchy, immigration, prisons, fire service, the military, the CDS, army commander, all those other service commanders. So let nobody restrict this argument just to the realm of this. And I believe in total that His Excellency the President, and we are talking of the President not as a person, a particular person. We are talking about the institution, the entity called the presidency, is clothed with that right by the Constitution of the Republic. So Kwame, where is the legal challenge? I don't know. Are they challenging that the president has no authority to appoint an IGP, or the president has no authority to sack an IGP? I believe that is clear. Where the Constitution, if it had been the intention of the framers of the Constitution, that the president cannot sack the IGP, they would have made it in black and white, clear, and take it away from this maxim that he who appoints has the right to disappoint. And so fine, people want to test the law. That is one of the basic tenets of a democratic dispensation. If you feel aggrieved by something, or you think that there is lack of clarity, or like you lawyers use your language sometimes to intimidate us, lacuna. See some big word which is something which you can just say that gap. Instead of gap, then you come and introduce word lacuna. Then the man sitting outside there, the ordinary person say, hey Charlie, this one is big bravo, you can't understand this. So if there's a gap in the law somebody wants to have, but I honestly speaking don't see any controversy about this matter. It's been generally known, accepted, and legally founded, legally well founded, that the president has an undisputed right to appoint the IGP, and in similar vein has an undisputed right to make him, to remove him, to sack him or her. And since the advent of our Fourth Republic, it has always happened. Kwame, you know that soon after taking over power, presidents have changed IGPs. They have changed service commanders. It's happened from the advent of the democratic dispensation of the Fourth Republic in 1993 to date.
Maybe nobody challenged it then.
Yes, Kwabi. That's why I'm saying that it's a right of Ghanaians to challenge it.
Yeah, because
but
I guess maybe in having a very informative discussion. Of course, yes. I know you are very intelligent. You know the law, etc. But the Inspector General of Police, with respect, falls under the category of public officers, correct? Correct? Whose salaries and allowances are determined by Article 109 of the 1992 Constitution. Correct? So, if that is the case, then it is important that we juxtapose Article 109 and 191 and come out with a verdict whether from where we sit we think that we must continuously sack IGPs. Because my point is that, of course, the president's security is very important, so we have to, you know, look at that. But if you look at the conduct of the IGP, what he has done, and, you know, the president's decision to remove him does not find expression in my estimation, any reasonable logic, then it beggars belief as to whether we are preaching a government of national unity and continuity, or we are just preaching a government of partisanship. That is my confusion, because Article 191, respectfully, if I may, says that it focuses on the protection of public officers. The article ensures that public officers are treated fairly and justly in their line of duty. So no victimization or discrimination is one. A member of the public services shall not be victimized or discriminated against for discharging their duties faithfully in accordance with the Constitution. No unjust dismissal or punishment. A member of the public services shall not be dismissed or removed from office or reduced in rank or otherwise punished without just cause. Then job security. This article provides job security for public officers, ensuring they are not unfairly treated or removed from their office. The perenniality of the removal of the IGPs, in my estimation, is born out of the fact that most of the IGPs are really very old. So by the time a new government gets into office, these guys are already in their 60s, so they have to go. This guy is really relatively young. He's just, I think he has about 6 more years to go on retirement. So do we want to sack him for him to go and stay at home because power has changed, even though we know he's competent? Or we just want to satisfy our base, and therefore whatever it is, he must leave? That is the framework.
Okay, so Kwame, I know that you are the moderator, and ideally I can't ask you questions.
You can.
But very decent for me to ask you a question. You know that principles are either wholly kept,
yes,
or wholly abandoned. You can't pick and choose and tinker with them. Why have you chosen on this particular matter to deal with the dismissal or the sacking rather than the appointment? So what about the appointment of the IGP?
No, if there was a vacancy, i.e. that the IGP was about exiting in terms of age, then I would not have had a problem with the appointment, because Yohuni himself has about 6 months. By July he will be 60.
Was it not somebody who was dismissed for dumb party to
What was the person's age?
Kwame?
Yes, sir.
It's immaterial.
Okay.
Because look, people have reached the stage, they've given them contract. A lie?
True.
So that's not a barrier to the appointment. So I am in favor. And some time ago, you know, there was a very enlightening discussion started by ACP Agozo. You remember? He and Kofi Boachi and other police officers to start an argument for Ghanaians to imbibe the this and that. Look, is it possible for us to find a way in which the appointing process and dismissal process of the IGP can be taken away directly from the presidents and others and politicians, and then a police commission or something is founded on the basis of which we can then have a very professional way of dealing with that matter. So Kwame, you need to do a very holistic, that's why I'm saying that this picking and choosing of only going to contest the dismissal, but leave the appointing process to the same appointing authority. It's unfair. You cannot ask me that I can appoint somebody and I have no right to dismiss that person if I find that the person has not performed to my satisfaction based on my assessment or in terms of the security. Do you know, Kwame, in spite of the fact that you are quoting his public servant, you know that he's a service person. The IGP is a service person, and the commander-in-chief, they are all service persons are answerable to the commander-in-chief. So you should not read it in one side, read it in tandem with other laws, conventions, practices that exist, and you come to the inescapable conclusion. I know that this one, I am not for once suggesting how the Supreme Court may do that is within the remit.
From where you sit, but what is the justification for the removal of Dampare?
Kwame, I am nowhere near being the president.
No, I mean I agree, but it's a decision. You see, but the point is that you are saying that
what the president knows
to the satisfaction. No, you are saying that to the satisfaction of the president.
Yes.
The president
yes,
represents the people.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we gave him the mandate.
Yes.
Yes, we have agreed that he should lead the country.
Yes.
But the people still reserve that right.
Yes.
To question the president on his decisions.
Sure.
Because ultimately, we want the democracy furthered.
Yes.
So if the president takes a decision and the generality of the Ghanaian people, maybe not all of us, but there's a mixed bag of reaction, okay,
yes,
then it means that that appointment is questionable. And you must listen yes, to the demands, the questions, the reactions from people, in order that you can avert any potential foreseeable dangers which may arise.
Yeah, see, Kwame, the fact that you question the president's appointment doesn't make the dismissal questionable. Because questionable seems to suggest some element of dubiousness or some element of fraud or some element that is dishonorable.
Questionable could also mean integrity and competence.
So let's make a clear distinction.
No,
your right to question is no coterminous with the thing being questionable. They are two different things. You see, and me and you sitting here, like I said, we are not in the mind of the president. What the president knows, you and I, we don't know. The quantum of information and issues that come before the president, Kwame, you have no idea. And so when the president makes a decision, there's a supposition that he's making the decision on the well-founded basis of facts and information that are made available to him, which is not available to the members of the public. And so when he takes the decision, yes, people have the right to express their opinions and others about it. But that is by itself doesn't make it questionable. And so I think that if we are, as a nation, we are beginning to say that, look, the mode of appointing our IGPs and disappointing them is said that we think we must have a change. There must be some constitutional and legal reforms in respect of that, so that, for instance, we create a police commission that will be tasked with some eminent persons, staffed with eminent persons, and then they take a decision, and then we can make those constitutional and legal amendments to that effect. But as we speak now, the president has an undisputed right to appoint and disappoint the IGP. And so when the president does it, I really don't see where the flag people want the president to take to be heaped on him. I think that is unfair. You can raise issues regarding the dismissal. That's okay. But to contest his right, you know, to so take such decisions, Kwame, I beg to differ. I think that the president is close with the requisite constitutional, legal, and in terms of our practices and precedents, he's well anchored in his decision to act as he has done. And I've said it, Kwame, go and peruse what has happened from the dawn of the Fourth Republic. And it is not only the IGP, it is service commanders. I believe that this is just the beginning of the process. Very soon you may hear from the president, from the CDS. You will hear from the army commander, these other service commanders. It happens with these changes. And then they prepare for those, and almost invariably, most of them are given ambassadorial posts or given some other distance to for the nation to tap into their deep-seated fountain of wisdom.
What is Yohonu bringing to the table? What is Yohonu bringing to the table?
I hear he has been a police officer for 40 years plus. Kwame, experience, experience cannot be bought in the market. It's a product of your participation in a process that you gain that value. And so I think he comes with a wealth of experience. I have not done any survey, but I have listened to some comments on social media and some other people, and they are saying that Yohonu is a policeman's man. In other words, they are indicating that he is affable and cuts across very well with many police officers. On top of the fact that they say he's a disciplinarian. So I think that, Kwame, you cannot buy experience. This, and so if you have the benefit of somebody who has that accumulated experience, we can only tap into his deep-seated fountain of wisdom. And I want to believe that. I cannot say it all for you, Honu. I'm not his apologist. Indeed, I have not followed his track record for all this period, and so I am unable to tout his credentials and also his demerits, his false side. So, I believe the present, and that is what I've always said, Kwame, the benefit of the facts the president has at his disposal in making decisions, you and I don't know. So in questioning it, of course, which we have a right to, we should also be measured by the fact that I'm sure the president, and especially for President Mahama, that I know that President Mahama is not a man who takes decisions just on the spur of the moment. He subjects it to critical scrutiny, and he's a critical analyst, and somebody of his stature does not just make decisions easily. I believe that he must have subjected it to very critical analysis and arrive at the conclusion that this is the time. Kwame, the president could have dismissed Dampari in January. Not so. You could have dismissed him last month, February. In fact, you could have dismissed me at the beginning of March. We are in the middle of March. So I'm sure that the president gave that latitude to allow him to do his work up to a point where he thought, well, up to this point, you've done your duty to this country, and it's time for somebody to also come and continue. So otherwise, are we saying that somebody can occupy that position forever? It cannot be until the time maybe he retires or something. So if we want it to be done, and like I said, let's deal with that process of insulating the appointment of IGPs from political influence and control. Then we set up an independent body. In places they have the police commission, or they have some other bodies.
My final question to you, Honorable A.B. Husseini, is that you know that Yohonu will be retiring in July.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, the presumption is that when a new leader is appointed, they put in place their strategies, their vision, and plans for the institution. Now, here's a man who has just about 3 months to retire. Now, between now and 3 months, what policies would he put in place such that if there's a new IGP appointed after his retirement, that those policies will be continued? Because I think that we should not try and confuse the operations of the service, because this Yohonu man will also bring his ideas. Will his ideas find expression in the ideas and the vision of a new IGP who may possibly be appointed after his retirement? These are very important questions.
Very legitimate questions.
Saying that, Kwame, look, this is just a thank you. Kwame, that they just want him to retire as an IGP.
Kwame, these are legitimate.
Is that what we are doing as a
These are legitimate
You
concerns.
just want to give IGP to somebody because it's just about retiring, and you feel that he has provided some service to the country, and therefore you are rewarding him with an IGP. That's also some of the concerns people are raising on the streets.
Kwame, legitimate as some of those concerns may be, we must also not be oblivious of the fact that you cannot deny people their legitimate entitlements. He has not retired. He has not been brought from retirement to be made an IGP. He is still a serving officer. And so when there's a vacancy, serving officers and the most senior of the serving officers are entitled to be promoted to assume that position. So Kwame, I think that in as much as we raise concerns, let us also look at the other side. Let us not attempt to just erase those concerns, sweep away the legitimate ambitions of others who have also served. And in any case,
so it's about
are we saying that in the police service there's no room for continuity? There's continuity.
Is there?
When Yohonu comes, he's going to sweep away everything that Dampari did. Dampari did a lot of very good things. and he served as a very diligent police officer. I will salute him any day. Kwame, I say that because when we went for the Asin North by-election, I saw the professionalism of Dampare. When he came there and even said, all of us MPs, you know, MPs have bodyguards and others carrying arms. And he said, nobody. Every MP, when you are coming here, if your man will even follow you, let him follow you, but he will not carry any arms. Because he will not allow anybody to carry arms for any police station. Kwame, and that is what helped secure the peaceful and orderly conduct of that by-election. And there was not a single act of violence. So I can salute Dampare for many of the good things he's done. But Kwame, there's always a time. Everybody has an expiry date. Everything has an expiry date. The day you enter a place, know that there's a day you leave. So I am sure that IGP Dampare knows when he was appointed IGP, he knew that there was a day he would leave. And the day could come anytime. All right. So Kwame, let us also make room for continuation. Yohonu will come, he will continue. I believe he will continue. You can't sweep aside all the things that Dampare has put in place. He will carry some of them, introduce a few for the period that he will also be, as he has also entered today. He must be aware that a day is coming when he will leave that office. Sooner or later. Nobody knows. If maybe in the bosom of the president. And so there are things that he will start and he may not complete them. Somebody will come. Maybe he may complete one or two things Dampare has done as part of the continuity process, and also start something for the next IGP after him to also come and continue. So I'm sure that, but the larger conversation, Kwame, should be that if as a nation we think that we should insulate the office of the IGP from political interference or control, as you say, with these appointments and others, then it's time that as a nation we start that conversation and begin to look at ways of creating an independent police commission or something that can be in charge of the appointment and removal of of IGPs. But for now, Kwame, I am 100% rock solid that the president has an undisputed right to appoint and an undisputed right to dismiss.
Sabo, undisputed right to appoint and undisputed right to dismiss, says Honorable A.B. Fuseni.
Let me take the opportunity to say good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to your good self, my elder brother A.B. Fuseni, and my slave, Dr. Ramsey. May the soul of his father rest in perfect peace. And then, of course, Ramadan Mubarak to all Muslims. I think the first 10 days is for forgiveness. We pray for forgiveness, for Allah to forgive us our sins. The second one is to pray for our wishes and the rest. And we hope and pray that Allah will accept our prayers. Well, I mean, this particular issue, to me, it is torn between principle and patriotism. To be frank with you, as my brother was making his submission, if you observe me, I have never been that attentive like today, because I was just trying to see how I approach this particular issue. Because even as I descend into my, what do you call it, a submission, you realize that I'll be torn between you and my elder brother. Because on one breath, I agree with you totally. On another breath, too, I agree with my brother. If we are going to look at Dampare as a police officer, regardless of who appoints him or who disappoints him, like my brother in his concluding remarks stated, he's a very professional person. Very good. He knows his work very well. And he does it to, I mean, the expectation of, what do you call it, if not all, but at least to a sizable number of the population. For me, I think he has come to improve security situation in this country. Regardless of the Galamsey issues, which has not been, totally brought to his control. But if you look at the Galamsey issues, military were involved, national security was involved, and other security agencies were involved in the fight against Galamsey. But if you come to the cities, especially on our highways, in the past, Kwame, Accra became a very scary place to drive beyond 10 p.m. In fact, and even sometimes beyond 10 p.m., when you come to a traffic listing and it is red and there's no car, in fact, you are tempted to just move, because when you stop, if you don't take time, you are in trouble.
That's true.
Exactly. So, but, I think it's like we've forgotten of all these experiences. Due to his professionalism.
Police visibility.
Exactly. I was just coming to that. And if you also observe, these days, even up to date, when you are approaching a traffic light and there's no any police officer there, don't think that there's no police officer there. Just try to look at the corners. You see them with their bikes parked there. Preventing crime and reducing what they call the government, expenditure. Because anytime crime is committed, government spends more. And then, of course, as a nation, we tend to lose either life or properties and other things. And he's been able to deal with all these things. I think me as Sabu, me as an individual, me as a citizen of the country, I would have said that he should be left at post. In fact, he's the best that we have in many generations. However, on the other hand, like I was saying, it's about principle and then, of course, morality. On a moral ground, I have issues with him. In the sense that, at a point in time, even me, as a member of the New Patriotic Party, Director of Communications, I had issues with him with regards to trust and patriotism towards the one who appointed him. Because like my brother clearly indicated, at the Asen North, although I didn't have the opportunity to go, because that was the time I went to Mecca. But I had my reservation, everything, my room was booked for me and everything. But that was at the same time too, I was asked to go to Mecca instead of Asen North. But the reports that came from that place is that his men harassed most of our people. You see? And then and actually, in a way, even bend the law just to ensure that that is in his view, security is assured and other things. Quite apart from that, there were so many issues that he's supposed to have actually brought it to the notice of the president, only for the president to also get the issues in the news or from national security and other security apparatus and other things. I was of the view that at least, regardless, though he should have stood his grounds, and some of us would have supported him, when the president is even pushing to do the wrong, he should resist it. But however, in the face of the law, he's supposed to have actually been updating the president on every security situations, so that even if the president, in quote, has a side like it is presumed in a society, he will also talk to his side that the kind of IGP that I have today is not the kind of IGP that we used to have. So be very careful. Because Kwame to Franco too, not that my party was in power and the rest. I think you've known me for some time. I'm somebody who doesn't joke with the law, regardless of where I find myself. Because the law is the law. And it is for you, for the good of you and myself and all of us sitting here, that the law is there. So I don't see me turning around to abuse the law. And I strongly believe that people who have abided, or who, that group of people who have abided by those directives. But Kwame, come to think, the legal issues that you have has been brought in, for me, I see it dead on arrival. I'm not a lawyer, but past events will tell me that this will not travel far. Because one, at the constitution of this country, I think the kind of governance system that we are running is a presidential system, where all powers are vested in the president. And even when it comes to security and whatever, it is the president that we point at. So it behoves on the president to get people that he trusts, people that he thinks they are competent enough to ensure that all these things are put in the right perspective for the good of the country and the citizens of the country. And in that particular distance, he had that prerogative to decide who becomes the next IGP. Quite apart from that, you were talking about he actually getting his the salary from the public, holders office. Am I right?
Yeah.
I don't know of CEOs, whether they are also paid from the same.
Article 109, I think. Yeah,
yes, I think they are CEOs and the rest. So if care is not taken, and this case is able to be given some oxygen, it is going to affect other government machineries and other things, and there will be some sort of chaos in the system anytime there's a change of government. You agree with me that most of the CEOs that left, in fact, on principle, like we are just saying this morning, some of them, in fact, should have been maintained, if only for the good of the country. But for political expediency and, of course, for lack of trust and loyalty and the rest. Yes, the new government needs to do certain things. In fact, if you ask me, I would have said that I don't know why the CEO at Valco is still there. Not to be frank with you, because if a president of a political party appoints you at a place, and the same president is saying that he's trying to create job opportunities for the teeming youth, and then even you get people from his own political party who were admitted into that particular decision on merit, and then you come and say that no, the other CEO, the vision that he had was not the best, and whatever, you have come with your decision, and for that you are going to cut down the numbers and other things. Of course, that's what I said. On a personal decision, I would have wished that CEO should be removed. But maybe on the other side, on professional grounds and the rest, maybe he's the best for the position. And these are interests that we all have across the political divide and other things. So I think it is the right of the current president to decide who becomes his IGP. But I believe it is within the ambit of the law that the person should have actually gone through the mill to a particular stage before the person becomes the IGP. But talk of trying to reduce, I think we'll still come to economy, public expenditure and the rest. But to me, bringing this man from the deputy to this, and in 3 months' time he's going on retirement, and he's going to retire on that particular distance, are you not actually bloating the distance? Because you are trying to, you are in a way, yes, increasing the public expenditure and the rest. And I was of the view that at least it should have been smart enough to realize that no, let me rather bring somebody who can even last longer. Exactly. So on that breath, I don't agree with the president. But of course, when it comes to the powers to appoint, like my elder brother was saying, he has all the powers to appoint. But, and again, Kwame, let's also look at the capabilities of this Yowonu vis-a-vis, Dampare. And even beside that, beyond Yowonu, maybe there are other officers who also
Dr. Gariba.
Exactly.
COP
exactly.
Gariba.
So to cut down costs and other, I don't want to use the word prolific expenditure. Maybe for lack of better words, maybe increase the public expenditure and whatever. You could have gone beyond, if you still don't feel comfortable with Dampare, you could have gone beyond, already he's a deputy IGP. So he's already comfortable with whatever he's in now. And then go and pick somebody who has also dedicated himself to the service and is open to all and that. Because as Kum said, the IGP, when he comes, per the laws of this country, ideally, is supposed to be for the safety of all of us, regardless of our political, exactly, and other things. So I think, in the future, though it is good that you are testing the law, but to be frank with me, with you, I don't see it go further. But I'll be very happy if this law, if this particular attempt, yes, is able to gets the needed, what they call it, attention.
All right.
And then maybe eventually you win the case.
Then
I think it will go a long way to bring a paradigm shift in our, what they call it, governance dispensation. In conclusion, Kwame, I also want to take this opportunity to advise all of us that although I'm an MPP and it is NDC government that is in power, when it comes to security and others, if I do not help him to get the right person in place, I will not be spared. It will not be like, because he's NDC, I'm MPP, and for that matter, if I speak for him to bring the wrong person, I'll be okay. That person will recognize me and say, oh, this guy fought for me to come to this, and so I'll give him 24/7 protection and others. It will affect all of us. So let's hope and pray that he gets his appointment right.
All right.
So that under the in quote, the umbrella, not the NDC umbrella. Yes, under the umbrella, we'll all feel comfortable.
All right. Thank you. Julie, I'll come to you. I just want to read a few messages. All right, okay.
I just want to, this about, because of the age that you are talking about.
Yeah.
When IGP Ashanti Apietu and then Nana Akufo-Addo retired, shortly after becoming IGP, they extended his contract for 2 years.
Granted, I don't have a problem at all. So you think that practice,
so
that convention,
no, I'm not,
must continue?
No, I'm not advocating for it.
Okay.
I'm just pointing out something of a precedent.
Because
and I said that precedents are part of
and I'll put this question for us all to deliberate on. Sabo mentioned the issue of partisanship and patriotism, right? And whether the appointment is made on the basis of partisanship or on the basis of patriotism. Because like he's saying in his concluding remarks, he makes the point that security is for all of us. And so are we rewarding somebody for maybe how he helped a particular political party win power? I'm just saying, you know, and because of that, we just want to reward him. Or we are rewarding somebody who is so competent that the security of all Ghanaians will be assured. That is the point for me that we ought to expand on.
Was not that partisan.
So,
otherwise,
I'm just
appointed him as a deputy.
I'm just asking questions.
Sure.
Because also, then people will now be afraid that, hey, it means that if you want to be the IGP, you have to be divulging information to the opposition parties, you know, so that when they come, they recognize you, you know, as somebody who is with them, and therefore we must reward you for. And that's why I'm saying that it's not even safe. For even the sitting president, it's not safe, because right now you can appoint somebody thinking that the person is NDC, okay? But unbeknown to you, the person may be having secret meetings with the opposition political party and divulging security information or security details to your the opposing. And so that is why I'm saying that we must rid the security system of all of these partisan inclinations, you know, so that we can have a true service with integrity. I recall when my dad was a police officer, we never had some of these political issues come up, where appointment will be made and police officers are even questioning why the appointment is made, or why they've given it to this person or that person. Even though, yes, they will appoint people, but it was based on merit, that this person is on record to have served and has done this and has integrity, has this, that, and on that basis, the president made the appointment. Not because the person appears to be a member of that political party. And especially when in recent times we had police officers resign to go and contest and become MPs. You know, these are all matters which we have to deal with. And for now, we may not see anything wrong with it. But, you know, the benefit of history is in the belly of time. Julie Belinda Obri says, hope the host has been reading what is going on social media. Most of the police are happy just for yourself on social media. Francis Gordon says the president tasked the IGP to investigate and finalize those 7 people killed during the 2020 election, and he failed to complete it. Adam Pare is a fine gentleman, but the president has the power to choose and fire IGP. Yeah, but the president didn't give him any timelines, did he?
No, he didn't.
Exactly. George Stevenson Glee says, Alhaji ABF said a very intelligent submission. The president has the prerogative to appoint and disappoint. Period. Abena Pokuyaka says, hello Kwame, don't let us forget that the previous government appointed Supreme Court judges who retired after a few months or a year, which was also an intentional action for them to retire on that position. So let us have a discourse that permeates the political fiber of this country. The way forward is to review the current constitution or come up with a new one. And I believe it will help this nation. President Mahama is definitely on track. Abna Pokura is an NDC member, but admits that we have a serious lacuna in the constitution which ought to be dealt with. Obama Nation, good morning to you and everyone, especially the great people of Ward K. May Almighty Allah bless and guide JM and his family. My regards to my lovely father, Honorable Alhaji Suhini. All right, this one says, Charles Thompson says, this brouhaha was started by the Progress Party way back in 1969. Here in the UK, there's nothing like IGP. All the other regions in the UK have chief constables as head of the original police force. In London, the head of the police is Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Simpliciter. Charles Thompson, thank you for this education. Kojo Asempa Furniture says, I'm enjoying this powerful morning show from Kojo Asempa Furniture with Edum Kumase. Charles Thompson says, Kwame, stop discombobulating yourself and think outside the box. Oh, how I am very well thinking outside the box. Maybe you are chained within the box. Alex Gotta says, is Sabo here? No. Hey, what has Sabo done to you? Charles Thompson comes back and says, the truth of the matter is both sides of the political divide don't understand the concept of democracy and are practicing mumokracy and takashicracy. Renis Brahma says, Nanado Baumia and all the appointees have disappointed Ghanaians, so the country needs a reset. Abdul Karim Haruna says, Assalamu alaikum, guys. Okay, wa alaikum salam. Thank you. Let me come to you, Dr. Ramsey, on this subject matter.
Council.
Yes, sir.
Let me take this opportunity to say a very good morning to the good people of Ghana and to my Muslim brothers and sisters, a Ramadan Mubarak, and to my revered senior colleagues, Honorable A.V.A. Hussein and Alaji Sabo, a very good morning and a Ramadan Mubarak, and a Jummah Mubarak as well. Council.
Yes, sir.
This issue, again, is an anachronistic one. And it's like a deja vu. And it seems we're just running in circles with no direction. And until we listen and execute the wisdom stipulated in the Great Transformational Plan that seeks to promote some form of constitutional amendment, we would not see any light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, IGP Dampare's track record in service is axiomatic. He has led a police service that today Ghana is ranked the second safest country in Africa. Today, as you quite reiterated, the visibility of our police officers from all corners of the streets of Ghana is quite seen and is quite clear. That today, there is even a new unit that he created called the Visibility Unit, and has been well resourced to tackle crime and patrol across the various streets of Accra. And I must say that I feel safer in Accra than any other time under the leadership of Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare. But of course, on a point of law, I agree with Honorable A.B.A. Husseini that the President under Article 202 of the 1992 Constitution has the right to appoint the IGP. But this is what we are saying, and this is what we are advocating for going forward. And President Mahama has promised the people of Ghana that he is going to amend the Constitution. But this is what we are proposing, that going forward, Ghana transitions into a bicameral parliamentary system where we would create a second chamber. This second chamber, which will be a different part of parliament, a second house of parliament, would be made up of non-state actors and non-political actors. In Ghana, we know that our chiefs are not supposed to be political. They have to be politically neutral. And so this second chamber will be made up of our chiefs our ulamas, which is the Muslim clerics, our Christian leaders, youth-based organizations, reps from the PWDs, reps from the trade unions, academia, CSOs, and of course, our revered media. And this apolitical entities would fill up this chamber and then elect or appoint, I would say appoint, heads of various independent constitutional bodies, including the police service. And so going forward, no president would have, if we're able to amend this, no president would have the prerogative to appoint the IGP, the CDS, the Chief Justice, and even the Controller or the Auditor General in that regards, Council. And you know, this issue has been set because of the precedent in 1966, the 24th of February 1966. You quite remember that J.W.K. Halley, who was the first IGP of Ghana, Halley, yes, conspired with then General Ankara to overthrow Nkrumah. And so it has been the thought that any president that comes to power, even though Nkrumah appointed J.W.K. Halley, right, any president that comes to power should have his own IGP. That has been the tradition. And I think that it is quite detrimental to our democracy. And as my elder brother did reiterate, that security has no colors, right? If today the security of Ghana is in shambles, it would affect all of us, right? Especially even the president. And so we want to see going forward some form of amendments in the Constitution, especially Article 202, that that gives the president the power to appoint the IGP. And we should have a second chamber of parliament that would have those mandates to appoint heads of various independent constitutional bodies, so that our police service will be politically neutral and the various independent constitutional bodies will be politically neutral. And as you did reiterate, I can tell you without any equivocation that appointments in our public polity in Ghana today is tied to one way or the other partisan affiliation, right? And counsel, I must say this, I would have even thought that President Mahama should have even started off with the military, because as for the police service, and I've always praised the police service, that the Ghana police service, notwithstanding all the shortfalls and issues that orbit around it, is a reformed service. And I can see some form of professionalism in the discharge of the duties of many police officers and even that institution. But the military, counsel, our military, and I'm saying this again and again, has been one of the least, I would say, performing security agencies in Ghana today. Look at what happened in just after the elections in Obuasi. The issue of, is it the Obuasi mines, Goldfields Obuasi mines, where 9 people were innocently, Anglo Gold, yes, Anglo Gold Ashanti, their mines in Obuasi. 9 people who were alleged to be illegal miners were slaughtered by the military. Way back in Ashama, over 200 innocent civilians were lined up, stripped, almost naked, and lynched by some recalcitrant military officers who I don't know who commanded them to do such. And in the 2020 elections, 9 people were killed again in Techima South. But to date, nobody has put in a committee of inquiry to look into the findings and to deal with the leaders of the army that conducted that operation. I hear during the heat of the elections, there was one, is it General Poku, who was alleged to have conducted that operation in Techima's south. But till date, we haven't seen anything about it. So our military, the Ghana Armed Forces, needs some form of serious reforms in this country. My grandfather was a military officer as well. My grandfather, from my mother's side, was a military officer. He was a major in the military. My grandfather, from my father's side, was also a police officer. But I can tell you that, Council, my grandfather was one of the most disciplined persons that I have ever met. And he was, he entered into the service during the Gold Coast era, right? And then when Nkrumah took over. But today, the Ghana Armed Forces has turned into a chop bar. Go to Bema camp and go and see how soldiers sit and they drink and get drunk. I don't know the code of conduct that they've set for the army. But in the barracks, you're not supposed to have alcohol. You shouldn't even sell alcohol in the barracks. I don't know, but I stand to be corrected. Right? Go and look at their various barracks. Soldiers drink and they conduct themselves in a contumacious manner in our society today. And they think that they are above the law. And nobody is doing anything about it. So I want to see President Mahama reform the military. Because the military is sinking. Gone are those days where our military would perform extremely well when they go for peacekeeping missions. But today, I don't even know the state of their record when it comes to peacekeeping in Africa and various regions in the world. So, Council, like I said, until we have constitutional amendments and reforms in this country in regards to this very, very peculiar issue that we go around in circles, we will not have any headways and will not come to an amicable solution as far as appointment of heads of various independent constitutional bodies are concerned.
All right, thank you very much. Alex Gotta says name. It seems last year you ran away from the program saying that why are you not hosting the program? Do you remember? Our chiefs are now more partisan than we, the ordinary civilians. Honorable. Okay. So it appears that you know we need to further the conversation. Honorable, now let me just you know ask you a few questions because I of course they all seem to agree to a minimal extent with your position and that of the president, and also do agree with me to advise what should be the way forward in order that we can address some of these challenges that we are faced with.
That's why I try to outline that if we want to isolate it from the political process, then we should begin the conversation around the framing up of new institutions. So like elsewhere where they have an independent police commission, or we can create like a body like that, an independent police commission, in which we shall vest the power that for an IGP to be appointed, we shall vest the commission made up of distinguished citizens or public servants who have not tied to any political affiliation to take up the issue of looking at this, and they say they can call for an advert, and based on the applicants, they will constitute a panel, vet, and then come out to appoint an IGP, and then from there, issues of dismissal will be subjected to certain ethical considerations, so that we'll take it through that process. I think that can be one way of addressing it. Otherwise, currently as we speak, I believe that is solidly in the bosom of the president. So, all right, that argument, that fresh look, I believe we can take. Currently, and happily enough, the president has undertaken to get some reforms to our constitution. So maybe if the time has not run out already, it should be part of the decision to add it. But like I said, the IGP currently is also a service officer. And so like all other service officers, they are answerable to the commander-in-chief.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
So I think he agrees with the bicameral system that we are proposing. I mean, what he's saying is also tied to that. That's why we want to introduce, or we are proposing. Oh, but it will be a 25-member body, right?
All right, let's proceed. There are some issues that we ought to deal with here. Now, the second issue on my list is the 2025 budget, and minority is saying that it lacks credibility. It lacks credibility. I'm also very interested in the topic that has been captured on the front page of the Inside newspaper, where Sticker is saying that there must be an investigation into the National Cathedral, the expenditure of $58 million. But I don't know whether the time we have left will allow us to discuss these two very important issues. Which one should we discuss? I'm a fair Speaker of Parliament. So let's put it to vote. Those in favor of the budget 2025, say aye.
you can, I believe you can incorporate it because the cathedral is.
Can the speaker also vote?
The speaker cannot vote.
The speaker is not a member of parliament.
I'm not a member of parliament. So those
issues of the last.
So okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, so based on the agreement we have,
the second or first or second deputy speaker.
We're going to marry the two areas.
Okay.
But let's be minded, because we have. Okay, 9:19, so 10 minutes each, and I think we'll be fine. Honorable, let me start with you.
Well, you said what did you say
We're
about
doing the budget 2025, where the minority is saying it lacks credibility, and then Sticker is saying that what's his name, Stephen Amwa is saying that we must investigate the National Cathedral hole, the $58 million that was sunk into it.
Okay,
we must investigate it.
Well, that call is coming from Sticker.
Sticker, yeah.
Hey.
Sticker appears to be very forward-thinking and forward-looking lately.
No, I think he also has a grievance.
He has what, a grievance?
No.
Of course, he's on record.
I listened behind his back.
I listened to some interview. No, I listened. You are right, because I listened to him quite recently in an interview where he opined that this so-called review of the 2024 elections by the party hierarchy is something that was done in their bedroom.
He said it's a ruse.
And that he was never contacted. None of his executives within the region were contacted. So he doesn't understand how they were able to come out.
He said that they are writing a kangaroo report.
so he was very furious. He said, if they don't take care, we also reveal what we know.
But that's why he got it wrong.
He did?
Yes, because there were some class of people within the party.
I hope this is not part of my life.
Who were the audience for this particular exercise. And he doesn't fall within that, unless, of course, there was an issue in his constituency.
Yeah. Okay.
Then that one he will have invited.
Honorable, let's start.
Yeah, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
If you set out to discredit somebody as a liar, and even before you have accomplished your mission, you have been exposed as a pathological liar in the process of doing so, would you have a right to contest somebody's credibility? And Kwame, I felt very sad when I heard my brother Amin Anta, the former finance minister, say categorically, in fact, he was saying with emphasis and even with very vociferous argument, that the finance minister has perpetrated some fraud on Ghanaians by bringing out information to the effect that he was abolishing the betting tax. And he could say and put his neck on the line that under the watch of Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, that tax was never implemented. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Today the verdict is out. Even his own colleagues have hung him to dry. The Honorable the Ukakwi Center, Patrick Buama, and a number of his colleagues, even Kojo Nkrumah, said that that it was a little technical, in order not to let it look so embarrassing for him, that it was so small technical misunderstanding that he had, that occasioned him to make the remarks that he made. Otherwise, they consider that the...
Which of the... It was a whole statement that he made. So which one?
No, he said you could say categorically that they never implemented the betting tax.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
But I think we've come back to explain that particular one.
No, we don't need this. You see, when you people speak English, you didn't speak German, Dutch. It's an expression Dutch. With my broken Dutch, German. Listen, you didn't speak Dutch to us. You spoke English. And so when you say, it was never implemented, we never collected, we understand it. You don't need to come back again and explain to me what you mean by never collected.
So winning on the betting, was it taxed?
Exactly.
Absolutely. No, it was. Winning was not taxed. It was the betting.
Please proceed. About 10% winning tax.
No.
So if you want 200 Ghana cedis, they'll give you 180.
Also no winnings, that one.
Yes, come in. So Sabo, don't complicate the matter for your brother. You see, so come in. That was the premise. And when you get your premise wrong, your conclusion cannot be right. So the whole argument they make is completely falling out of shape. You see, Kwabi, I have followed the MPP long enough to know. And especially how they use nordness. Sorry, I'm never a tribal bigot.
Yeah.
But they have that penchant. When, especially they are in difficult times, they'll use nordness to do their dirty work. Salvage them, and then when they come, the rest of you, the soundness, then you take the glory. So I believe that going forward, he should look at himself very well and not allow himself to become cannon fodder. Kwame, let me, after, so it has fallen, Kwame, when the house has fallen, you don't ask whether the roof is still standing. Their premise fell flat and everything is gone with it. So they are so badly discredited. And my plea to the MPP and to Sabo and his people, you see, when you are faced with this level of catastrophe, with such a very dramatic, drastic, comprehensive walloping, Kwame, you should eat humble pie, sit back, reflect, do some introspection, correct your errors, and come back. If you want to show that grandstanding, that macho image which you don't have, Kwame, it's like a macho man. You think you are macho, you can carry a log, you take the log and the log collapses on you. That's what we are trying to do. So please, pipe down a bit, humble yourselves, eat some humble pie, look at where you trip, draw useful lessons, and then begin the process of correcting so that Ghanaians in many decades to come can think about you. Well, let me congratulate His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for nominating Honorable Dr. Kesiel Atu-Banfosin as the Finance Minister. Kwame, when a landlord selects a competent caretaker, there is peace, harmony, and progress in the house. Kwame, I have listened to budget since I was a child and listened to so many finance ministers. Kwame, this is one finance minister who almost received universal applause, even from the MPP. I'm sure Sabo himself applauded him. When it comes to forum like this, he may say something different, but deep inside him, he applauded him.
Oh, well.
Even the MPP people, for once, they said no. And in fact, they said it makes it look like Atu-Banfosin's competence made Ken Ofori-Atta look like a susu collector. Fantastic, virtuoso performance. Kwame, not only in the manner in which he dealt with it comprehensively, but the time management and the presentation. Kwame, apt, competent, hilarious. And if you peruse this budget, this was a budget of vision, crafted to deal with the chronic state of affairs the MPP had sunk this country into. Strangulating chronic debt Kwame, over 750 billion Ghana cedis, not to even talk about institutional debts. And the finance minister spoke eloquently about it. He said almost every SOE was in the red. Never in the annals of our country's history have we sunk that low. Kwame. Kwame, when I was just coming, I had some discussion about ECG. And Kwame, if we don't get up and do something, ECG will collapse. That institution, Kwame, you hear one institution's debt, you will marvel. ECG is going into tens of billions of debt. Not to talk of the latest thing, they say even common demurrage, they owe over 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. In addition to 13 billion debt they have accumulated within this short period. Virtually every institution. And so Kwame, that is a management in the budget of this crippling debt, including the debt that we have to pay just for this year. A year is about 56 billion Ghana cedis. For this year alone. When the government has not even handled matters, it is saddled with that colossal debt. And Kwame, that is the same thing. We are told that we will pay over 130 something billion debt in this year and next year. Terrible. And you turn your back and see, what was that money borrowed used for? And I'm happy that the finance minister also outlined issues of accountability in that budget. Kwame, and I've said it, President Mama has made it clear that there will be accountability. But Kwame, those of us in the ND, some of us are watching with eagle eyes. Even if our government does not do the accountability the way we want, Kwame, some of us, you hear us on the streets. Accountability is a cardinal principle of the mandate the good people of Ghana gave to us in this election. We have no choice but to demand it hard and fair to make sure that everybody who takes that, you will cough that money out. And so we are waiting. The deadline is approaching, especially for the special prosecutor's invitation to the finance minister on those 5 counts that he charged him with to retrieve our billions of Ghana cedis from the finance minister and his ilk. Kwame, if you peruse the budget, apart from the debt distress I was talking about, and especially, Kwame, look at something like a sinking fund. When President Mahama was leaving office on 7 January 2017, he left a sinking fund in which there was $320 million. Kwame, I'm saying $320 million to the MPP. When they were leaving office, Kwame, in that fund, $64,000. $64,000. Not even 100,000, not even 1 million. Compared to the $320 million by President John Dramani Mahama. Okay? After recounting the indices, inflation, exchange rate, those other things, Kwame, is history. We all know that comparison. But this was a budget that was also humane, Kwame. If you look at one of the propaganda the MPP sought to make against the NDC was that we were going to cancel free HSS. Ally? Look at the allocation that was made. And a dedicated, Kwame, they never had a dedicated source of funding. The finance minister now has given a dedicated source of funding and allocated over 3 billion for free HSS. So if you look at the social interventions, okay, they assailed us and did propaganda with teacher trainee allowances. Kwame, they left a big debt in that day. They never paid. There was huge arrears for the teacher trainees. They didn't pay that money. In this budget, money has been provided to clear and pay teacher training allowances. The same as nursing training allowances. Okay? Kwame, the same as school feeding. In fact, it has been increased by a significant percentage. the same as LEAP. And Kwame, for the first time under the aegis of the Fourth Republic, those on admission to universities, that's tertiary institutions, no stress, Kwame, their first year fees are going to be absorbed. Provision was made in the budget to pay for it. Vocational and technical training, free, Kwame, and moreover, free for physically challenged people. They will not pay any fees as far as they are concerned. And Kwame, more innovative and visionary, Kwame, money provided to pay assemblymen and women. No wonder there was jubilation across the length and breadth of the country by many either too frustrated and disgruntled and disillusioned assemblymen who work for the assemblies and did not even get, even Kwame, the petty allowances of 200, 300 Ghana cedis the assemblies were supposed to pay them. They didn't even pay them. The arrears are still standing in the books, outstanding in the books of the assemblies. So clearly, Kwame, you can see that this was a budget that was designed first to cure the runaway mess of the MPP in the issues of the debt they have inundated the country into, to the elevation of social programs, to alleviate the plight and misery of Ghanaians. So there can be no doubt in anybody's mind that the president made the best choice of Honorable Atufosin as the finance minister. But more importantly, Kwame, look at other programs and monies that were voted for the issues in Agric. Because the government has come to the realization, and I've always said, Kwame, if you have your mouth in somebody else's kitchen, you cannot assert your independence and freedom. So Agric holds a very, very important trump card in our bid to not only attain national food self-sufficiency, but to industrialize and break. Kwame, if we are able to make a dent even in how much we spend on food imports. I hear that even now tomato, just even common tomato, over $400 million a year on just tomatoes. Rice is estimated at over $2.5 billion a year. So Kwame, I think that the investment in Agric that this government envisages do, properly tailored, and I have no doubt in my mind that Honorable Edeko Poku, very, very competent person. He demonstrated it when he was given the appointment in President Mama's first term as a regional minister, and I have no doubt in my mind that I have been in parliament with him, and when he gets up, when Honorable Edeko Poku gets up to speak, even the now minority, they are very eager to listen to him because he exudes wisdom, and I'm sure that he will bring the wisdom to impact on the agri sector, and then ensure that our bid. Kwame, look at youth programs that have come up.
One development economist has said that the allocation made to the agri sector was mostly inadequate. And it should have been between 15%,
Kwame,
20% of the total budget.
I am the first to admit that even allocations to all sectors would not have. Kwame, if you were left in such a mess, can you give, Kwame, can you give what you don't have?
You cannot.
Exactly. So that is why from the onset, even the president himself said, all cuts, including even the office of the president. And Kwame, let me clear this issue, which the MPP has sought to do propaganda with, that the budget of the government office of government machinery.
And conclude
is
on
bigger
that
than before. Kwame,
yeah.
Today as we speak, you don't have an information ministry. It's not at the president's ally.
Yep.
How will you pay the workers of GBC? How will you pay the workers of the Information Services Department? How will you pay the workers of GNA, National Media Commission? All those other issues. And Kwame, in the last budget they are talking, sometimes they think Ghanaians are fools. They should go and produce the budget of the National Security Ministry. Kwame, it was almost 2 billion Ghana cedis. Okay, for that one alone. under this current dispensation, the National Security Ministry has been taken away and subsumed under the President, Office of Government Machinery. So even their budget was almost 2 billion the other time. That one alone, how much does it take? Okay, so they should give us credit. You peddle these falsehoods and others, and Ghanaians gave you a serious punishment by consigning you to a humiliating opposition. You are not learning this, and as soon as you are in position, you are peddling further falsehood. I'm happy that the competence of Felix Ofosu-Kwakye has cured that mischief.
All right.
And so all in all, Kwame, this is a budget of hope. That even from the disaster the MPP has left this country with a colossal debt that they thought would have inundated the government, by the grace of Allah and the ingenuity of His Excellency President Mahama and the ministers' competent appointments he has made, Kwame, we have set the track,
okay,
of course, and
I'm
very hopeful that sooner than later we are getting. Already, you have seen how tea bills are falling from over 28%, some of them, now to 18 or 19%.
There's also a challenge there. Some economists are complaining that when it falls to
Kwame, they can.
Be a problem.
Yes,
anyway,
but
because of time,
the sum total of it, that it reduces the burden of payment.
It does.
You can, in the long term, you can say that maybe in the long term it may have challenges about whether people will invest or not. But Kwame, I can tell you that in Ghana here, they will find it better to invest still in those services, except when people think that government may renege and give them the haircut like the MPP did.
All right.
We want to say that we will honor and never give anybody any haircut.
Thank you.
Under the debt obligations. In fact, both hair and haircut. For some unfortunate people, they didn't cut their hair; they cut off their heads.
Abdul Wahab Mohammed says what Mahama did was right, but they can make it in a way to elect a new IGP, which will allow all the police members to vote their new IGP. That will be better. This one from Sokoli.
The IGP is not for police.
Kwame, please have it on your mind. Never MPP will allow other political parties to govern Ghana in peace. Charles Thompson says this former MP is a different kettle of fish. Fantabulous. Sokoli says, Alhaji, your advice to MPP is like telling the devil not to be proud and arrogant. Kaidebi Steve says, KOD, did the MPP borrow 721 billion to pay 122 billion debt? How logical is this? MPP never again. Charles Thompson says, His Excellency Sir Professor A.B.F. Husseini. George Stevenson says, A.B.F. Husseini, single 64,000 Ghana cedis left for Ghanaians in the sinking fund. MPP Nation Wreckers Party. Alex Gota says, what the MPP chop, do they vomit it out? Don't think you are coming to stay in power forever. That's why I love Bota. He once said the money his people are stealing, they will go to opposition and come back to power again. So it should be at the back of your mind. So they will come again. That they will come again. Okay, I don't know the logic, but yeah. Let me come to you, Sabu, and then I will end with Dr. Ramsey.
I was just listening to my brother. You know, sometimes when a song is sung in a different dialect, but has a very melodious tune, sometimes you don't know the meaning, but you are compelled to dance to the song.
Yeah.
Until maybe you are told the lyrics of the song, then maybe then you consider something different. Of course, like you were saying, when they were presenting the budget, in fact, if you don't know budget, if you don't know how budget is prepared, if you don't know the dynamics in finance and other things, definitely you'll be on your feet and say that, Ghana has been turned into heaven. Until you go and sit down and critically examine the items in the budget. then you know that you realize that you were dancing to the wrong tune. You see, as we speak today, even when they met with the IMF actually told them the kind of good indicators, economic indicators that they have inherited, they should do their best because they have a very good starting point, a very good springboard. I mean, to maintain it and then, of course, improve upon it. And they have also made it very clear to them that based on the indicators, they don't have any chance, or they have a very slim chance of getting back to them. This is not NPP saying it. This is not me saying it. That's IMF, the experts. Quite apart from that, Kwame, this government has made it very clear that he wants to cut down government expenditure.
Yes.
Which is a welcome news to every Ghanaian, including myself. And he even started by reducing the size of government. Currently, as we speak, he has appointed what do you call it? Okay. I think he has not gotten to the 60 yet, but he is in the listen of trying to appoint 60 ministers. But I was of the view that these 60 ministers, together with other new policies that he has put in place, will have seen government expenditure come down compared to the previous government.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is rather the other way around. All indicators has shown that in the budget, in fact, I'm not reading it from any NPP listing, right up in their budget, that government expenditure has rather bloated. Maybe the kind of finance that they have, we don't have it. They might come back to explain. That's why they don't even understand the former finance minister's statement very well, and are trying to frame it in a manner. One, Kwame, let's go. I've just put down some few notes here. Let's go one after the other, and then let's see. You see, government expenditure, when you come to 2024, it was 228 billion Ghana cedis. In this new budget, the projected is 268.7 billion.
This government expenditure?
Yes, with this government. No, with the budget. In fact, if it's just, I'm not reading from it, I'm reading from their budget.
Felix, okay, anyway. Provided an explanation.
His explanation, in fact, is going to say, even KG1 will not even listen to this kind of explanation. KG1.
How so?
I am telling you, because let me come. Let's go there small. That the ministries, some of the ministries that have been collapsed, that there are still, they have not actually, what do you call it? Pardon? Yeah, the appointment, yes. They have not terminated, exactly. The appointment, how they are getting me. Their appointments are still intact and the rest. So, Kwame, the basic question that I want to ask is that, so what are they doing now? Because the ministry is no more there. So what are they doing there now? They need to come and explain. Felix will have gone further to explain to us. They are this. In fact, you can't. You are only going to eat into my time. You cannot explain because even himself can run away from it. So tell me, Kwame. And I think we need to go there as citizens. These people will end up putting some ghost names and other things in the name of these people that are left behind. We need to look into it. You say you want to cut down. That's why you remove the ministry there. So collapse everything there and cut down the expenditure. Why are you still maintaining the people and tell us that this is the reason? I mean, you see the contradictions in their budget. Yes. Quite apart from that, let's come to appropriation. In 2024, we spent 250 billion. As we speak, they have projected 290.7 billion cutting down expenditure. In their budget, it is there. Kwame, compensations for Office of Government Machinery. That is where Felix came to explain those things. Under 2024, 326 million. And this, in fact, and they have actually shot it up to 2.7 billion, which means it has gone up by roughly 729%. And this is where he was trying to explain that the ministries that have been collapsed and what. This one I can only explain it to some other people there. Quite apart from that, when you come to other items of the budget, in fact, let me even go to this. Kwame, to me, I've always been saying this. As a country, I strongly believe that you agree with me that the developed countries, especially the Western district, their core of development is based on research. In fact, they invest in research more than any other district because they keep on coming up with new, what do you call it, for lack of better words, new ways of doing things, discovering new things and other things. But in Africa, how many African government invest in research? In fact, if you go to university and do research, you will die in poverty. In Ghana here, unless you travel outside, you will die in poverty in Ghana here. We don't take research very seriously. Had it been me, frankly speaking, that would have been a very good move, allocating this particular money to research. That's 70 million for research. But Kwame, maybe with this enough time, one day we'll sit back here and see how far this 70 million has taken us. And the rest. That would have been very good.
It's not even enough.
No, yes. In fact, if you are going to look at what the role
a country like South Korea, the allocation for research and development is 5% of GDP.
No, that is it. That is what I just stated earlier on.
Yeah.
But look at how South Korea is fast developing.
Exactly.
Because they've taken it serious and they are not pretending. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that for me, it would have been a very good lesson for all of us. If indeed this money is going to go into research, to come out with new way of producing, maybe come out with new species of cocoa and other things. Import substitutions, yes, or even how to cure the issue of galamsey with research finding and other things. I think it would have gone a long way to help us as a country. But Kwame, I don't know. Let's hope that John Dramani Mahama is coming with some new crop of this thing. However, the Women's Bank that they promised and the rest, how much is put there? I think 51.3 what do you call it, million there. And Kwame, I am not into the banking sector and I don't know much about it. In fact, you are a lawyer, I don't know, maybe you are within the financial sector or what, I don't know your speciality. But I know
running made to Alan Cash, so you can imagine.
But I'm told to start a bank in this country, you need not less than 400 million Ghana cedis.
That's a fact.
Yes. So this 50, I'm confused.
Yeah.
That's seed money.
Yeah,
So-
maybe for the
So is the bank
offices-
already established or what?
No, maybe for the offices that will be acquired, or
So where would the 400 and something million come from?
I have no idea. That's one I don't know.
Excellent. So you see, so
Maybe that will be catered for in the subsequent budget.
no, it doesn't make sense.
Because there's also even a mid-year budget.
Let me
review
come.
and all of
If
that.
you don't have a house, how do you put furniture in the house?
That is why they want to acquire the house first.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you talk of the offices and other things, so you mean to say that they want to get the building first?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yes.
And then before they move into getting the 400
Billion. Because even the big push of 10
John
billion.
Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, has 4 years.
Yes. 4.
And this women bank,
4. Only 4.
4 years, yes.
Not just him. All the other appointees.
let me come.
Who are flexible. All of them have 4 years.
This women's bank that is to be established, it's not going to be like, as we say, Pan-African Stadium, where the whole of Ghana, you only come to, what do you call it, Abelinkpe.
Yeah.
And then you are at Pan-Africa. In fact, maybe even Accra, they might even have different ones, apart from the headquarters. And all the 16 regional capitals, there will be these banks there. Because I don't think they will deny any other group of persons from the benefit of it. I hope you are getting
Yes.
me. So, In fact, I read that time is running out, and for me, you
And
don't know how
giving
this
me-
is. Let's just put it down here.
Yes, sir.
Kwame,
Yes,
so tell me, these areas, these regions all, that they are going to put up these buildings and the rest, within 4 years,
Yes.
within 4 years. And this is a president who once said that governance is like just trying to build an airport and the rest. That when a plane is to take off, you need to prepare the tarmac and whatever, and it will take you about 2 years to do that. Then final preparation and whatever, and by the time you are done with the 4th year, then you need additional more distance to continue with those things.
Right.
So in fact, beside the quantum of money, but the work schedule, Kwame, let us face the facts.
All right.
That 4 years
It's not enough.
they will not be able to achieve this, even to talk of operationalization of this bank.
Okay, maybe
In
they
fact,
will
for the
use,
sake of time, I wanted
maybe
to
they
go
will
deep.
partner with Pakwesi Ndum's GN Bank.
Maybe.
Which has
so
branches across the country.
So
Maybe.
Kwame, but they
GN
should,
Bank, yeah.
but they should come out clearly. And I believe
No, I'm just saying that maybe they may partner.
No, I agree with you.
That is a, maybe you.
No, what you are saying even makes a lot of sense. Like he's saying, either UT or maybe what do you call it?
The reason why I'm saying
Maybe
GN,
if there are
GN
some
is
existing
because,
facilities
you know,
that they are going to partner. That's a different thing
GN is still in
altogether.
existence. The facilities are infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah, but for UT Bank,
Well, 51.3 million, and this is still regions, and then you have. Hey, but Kwame, let's
person who ran
it
it
very
can
critical.
be different.
So
let me come to you.
with time, we'll come back to this budget again. There are a lot of contradictions.
All right, Dr. Ramsey, take us home.
one solution.
Oh, no.
Take us. Time.
Yes, the 2025 budget.
Yep.
I mean, some people call it a populist budget. Others also have different reservations and sentiments about it.
Yep.
But I think that overall, I see some lapses in the budget because there's some form of ambiguity of how government would reduce the huge debt of over 721 billion Ghana cedis that inherited from the Eswa, Nana and Baumia administration. Council, we want to see a different form of taxation or fiscal policy in this country, especially how our VAT is being calculated. We have to rationalize it, right?
Yep.
And we are proposing that because there's some form of reduction or I would say cancellation of some fiscal policies, the VAT should be increased to 17%. Because look, Kwame, they cannot tell us that they are scrapping the e-levy, the betting tax, the imports, the special import levy, and not increase tax to increase revenue. It is, it is not true. I mean, let's be honest here. And that is why the people of Ghana are wiser than any other time. And they would hold this government to account. And so they have to come clean and explain their future fiscal policy to the people of Ghana. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
There's a popular news that's circulating that the MPP, the former MPP government, did not receive any betting tax. That is a blatant lie. If you look at the practice notes of the GRA on taxation of gross gaming revenue and earnings, as amended Act 896, the Income Tax Act 2015, it stated clearly how they are going to collect taxes from revenues from our various betting companies and earnings. And the youth of Ghana that are watching us today, they know that when you earn through your luck, when you bet against a team, and let's say the team wins, let's say 100, when you win 100 cedis, the government of the day will take 10% out of it. So they'll take 10 cedis. For every 100 Ghana cedis, they take 10 cedis. And the former finance minister, especially in the month of Ramadan, where even the devil has been chained, would come out to lie blatantly like that in the eyes of the people of Ghana. I think that he should come out to apologize to the people of Ghana for misleading them with such untruthful facts. Coming. The other issue is to do with how some members of the NDC are rejoicing about the reduction of the T-bills, the rates on the T-bills. I mean, the whole idea behind treasury bills is to ensure that you have some form of inflation management in the short term. When you reduce the interest rates on the T-bills, it would fuel inflation. And currently, the inflation rate in Ghana is 23.1%, which is far way much higher than the BOG's target of 8%. Kwame. And so I think that they have to look at how best they can be able to tackle inflation. And that's why we propose that, looking at the orientation of our economy, we are an import-driven economy. We should have some special window for importers and a fixed rate on our forex for importers, so that within a period of 6 months, the exchange rates, right, on the various trading currencies, especially the dollar, will be fixed for some strategic commodities into the market, the Ghanaian market. And we will beg you to know that 80 to 90% of all building materials in Ghana is imported. And that is a tune of 13.2. The market itself is a tune of $13.2 billion. And that makes up 7.2% of our GDP. So Kwame, can you imagine if government would put in policies in place, support our youthful people and academia in research and development so that we can reorient our economy from an import-driven one to an export-driven one, and then produce Ghanaian-made goods, and I mean, make sure that we have a self-resilient and sufficient economy. But I see this budget, and one of the things that I agree with you in your earlier submissions, that the budget allocated to agriculture is not enough. And I do not see some huge allocations to the real sector of our economy. The services sector, the productive sector, and of course agriculture. I don't think that $1.5 billion cedis, Honorable Ebi Hussein, is enough. Looking at the import bill of food that we bring into this country, especially as you reiterated, tomatoes to the tune of $400 million. I think that, yes, if we are indeed looking at resetting Ghana, we have to put it into practice. And of course, the budget itself has a lot of ambiguity, and I hope that they will be able to come clean on it and ensure that they put in monies where they will be able to rake in a lot of revenues and also enhance tax compliance. According to the World Bank and the IMF, for a developing country like Ghana, our tax to GDP ratio should be above 15%. But we are proposing that they should increase it to 20% of GDP. And how they will be able to cover up that 5% deficit is to increase compliance, because we are hugely dominated by the informal sector, right? And even some aspects of the formal sector do not pay their taxes appropriately. And this is dominated by some foreign-backed companies in this country, Honorable Ebi Hussein, that are in the retail and then the wholesale industry. Today, if you look at the Spinters Road of Accra, Ghana, across the Spinters Road, and Kwame, you quite know because you are also into this sector, majority of these wholesalers across the Spinters Road are dominated by foreigners. These foreigners bring in their capital and they borrow at less than 5% interest rates. You and I would have a viable business idea, and we go to our banks, and we are being charged 35% on our interest rate. The question is that how are you going to compete with that foreigner? The foreigner is not adding any value to the economy. He's just importing finished commodities and repatriating their monies back. And in hard-earned foreign exchange. The cocoa syndication loan that we have advocated on, that, Kwame, why would we borrow $2 billion each year to buy cocoa from the farmers that we use cedis to buy? And when we sell, we look for hard-earned dollars again and then pay or amortize our loans. We have to abolish the cocoa syndication loan and raise locally local cocoa bonds from Ghanaian in general, from our people in general, so that these bonds will be raised in cedis. The government will use the cedis to buy cocoa, and then when we sell the cocoa, we earn dollars, and these dollars can beef up our foreign reserves. And so part of the reforms that we want to see in this budget is that aspect. And of course, Kwame, the issue of accountability. Today, Ghana owes the IPPs $1.73 billion, right? ECG is in abyss, $68 billion of debt on the neck of ECG. Cocoa Board, and as is known, cocoa production has declined by 50% due to primarily the anthropogenic activities of illegal miners. And we have a huge debt on the neck of Cocoa Board by 32 billion cedis. And all these monies, we don't know how this government, of course, they didn't cause it, I have to be fair. This is as a result of the economic erudition of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Dudankwa Akufo-Addo, and of course, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the other so-called economists in Nana's People's Party, not the MPP. And so, Kwame, we want to see some form of fiscal discipline. I would want to commend them for cutting down government expenditure, and we want to make sure that public expenditure, and we are proposing that public expenditure should be at least 10% of our GDP. And our debt to GDP ratio should be reduced from 84% as projected by the World Bank and IMF to 55%. And of course, I've seen that the budget deficit for this year would reduce from 3.9% to 3.1%, which is within the fiscal ceiling of 5% of GDP. And so I want to commend them for that aspect, but we want to see more resource allocation into the real sector of our GDP, of our economy, so that we can be able to increase productivity. The only way we can reduce our debt is to increase productivity, because it's a ratio between our debt and then the GDP. You understand?
Yeah.
And when we increase our productivity, we'll be able to increase our GDP, and of course, that would have an effect on our debt, because when GDP increases, the debt would reduce.
Thank you, Honorable Ibefseni. Thank you, Ramsey, Doc. Thank you, Samu. Most importantly, a big thank you to our viewers for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. I trust.
And used to hoodwink us.
And it's been a long time since we've seen the finance minister not wearing white.
Anyway, thank you guys.
That's part of the tricks you used to
But indeed, the white also was sending us a signal. You know why?
Yeah.
Because for 8 years, Honorable Ibefseni, the youthful people of Ghana were home, and the MPP government were paying goose.
Yeah.
They left human beings and they were paying goose.
Thank you very much. I'll see you on Monday. Do have a pleasant weekend. My name is
I used to hoodwink us.
you say something, prove it.
The NSS scandal.
Oh, Douala.
Ghost names.
I've been able to come.
Let the ghost names.
I've been able to